Ah! Possibly the single most bizarre evolutionary method to date. Shelder and slowpoke are a particularly noteworthy example of chimeric evolution, a fusion of two individuals to form an entirely new, evolved form. Advanced horizontal gene transfer, if you like. However, what is special about these two is that they are entirely different species, where Magneton is merely a simple colonial organism. Slowbro and Slowking are both much more than a symbiosis. Indeed, it would not be unreasonable to describe it as a chimera, although admittedly the center of neural activity is still up for debate. This has led some to propose that Slowpoke and Shelder should be classified as a single species, that they have adopted the function of being, effectively, very large gametes, and that Cloyster exists purely as a sort of sperm factory, producing more Shelder for the continued survival of the species. However, one cannot adopt such a simple explanation too readily, as it ignores a number of crucial pieces of evidence. Fossil evidence makes it clear that Shelder and Slowpoke, whatever they are now, were once separate species, and follow entirely different evolutionary descents. More importantly, Slowpoke and Shelder are rarely, if ever, found in the same areas, meaning that an encounter is often more likely due to chance than design, although it is possible that certain places, such as the Seafoam Islands and Route 205, are like breeding grounds, as the Sargasso Sea is to European eels. A more likely explanation for the above, however, has surfaced recently in comparing the ribosomal RNA sequences of Slowbro shells and Shelder, in that the Slowbro shell may actually be a new, parallel evolution for Shelder, brought about by enzyme-linked morphological changes initiated by Slowpoke sap, which is entirely parasitic, and is forced to live alongside its host owing to its slow defensive stats, manipulating it like some malevolent puppet master, and enhancing its psychic capabilities. Certainly it could offer an explanation as to why Slowking appears to possess such significantly developed mental capabilities compared to its prior and parallel forms. Slowpoke's evolution is quite odd by common evolution standards. After a Shelder attaches itself to Slowpoke, the two begin to live together in a symbiotic relationship. Depending on where Shelder sinks its teeth in, Slowpoke will either evolve into a Slowbro, on the tail, or a Slowking, on the head. In both cases, Shelder suddenly becomes elongated and grey, with spiny protrusions. The two are able to continue living symbiotically because Slowbro and Slowking release sap from their glands, feeding the Shelder they house. Interestingly enough, this sap is the same ingredient that makes Slowpoke tail a hot commodity. Scientists have attempted to undo this evolution by removing the Shelder from Slowbro or Slowking. However, after extensive testing, they have concluded that removing this Shelder is impossible, as the Slowbro's tail becomes elongated during the evolution and spirals around inside of Shelder. The inside of Shelder's shell also becomes a spiral maze, making it difficult to remove. In Slowking's case, the Shelder upon its head clamps on so hard that Shelder can only be removed if the will of a partner permits it to. One might notice that Slowking's psychic powers are enhanced by the jewel upon its crown, which actually happens to be a power that Shelder gains through this evolution. Once the Shelder bites onto a Slowpoke's tail, its poison enters the Slowpoke's body. At first the toxin hurts the Slowpoke, causing him to be weak. After a while, the Slowpoke begins to resist the toxin and actually gains bulk and better defenses because of the toxin, along with increased pain resistance. This is one of many reasons why Shelder benefits Slowpoke. After evolution, Slowbro must change the way it obtains food since it can no longer use its tail to fish. Slowbro has been observed burying itself in the sand with its tail out. When an appropriate sea creature passes by, the Slowbro suddenly bounces out of the sand with all of its might and agility, which isn't much, and eats its prey, which could range from unsuspecting crabapie or even other Shelder. Slowpoke and Shelder's strange evolution is fascinating and unpredictable. Will Shelder bite Slowpoke's head or tail? Slowpoke's sap glands are, in fact, only found in these areas, a sign that slowpoke evolved in this manner to avoid shelter biting anywhere that would greatly restrict movement. Slowpoke's ability to regrow its tail is a similar adaptation in that it aids evolution. Unlike the glands, its regenerative qualities developed in response to predators such as basculin that would snatch the tail. Some slowpoke have gained the ability to regrow their tails in minutes, hence the regenerator ability designation. Slowpoke's tail in particular brings a heavy moral debate to the table, quite literally. Slowpoke meat is often touted as tender and quite juicy. Only Kanto and Johto have an ample supply of slowpoke, however. Scattered farms there provide both premium slowpoke steak and syrup made from slowpoke sap. The sale of the tails, however, is highly contested. While they are quite the delicacy, cutting off the tails is excruciatingly painful. The effect of repeated tail removal is even noticeable by eating slowpoke meat. Repeated tail removal causes such stress to the slowpoke that the meat turns bitter. A series of public protests led the sale of the tails to be banned in several large cities in Johto, while being banned entirely in Kanto. Nevertheless, organizations such as Team Rocket continue to sell the tails through the black market. The international police have been investigating these sales, but we can only hope the poor slowpoke can keep their tails.